So, Ksenia, we heard General John Allen. He has such experience in the Palestinian theater. I must say that the ending of this interview is quite pessimistic, not very encouraging. We have on the one hand the agreement with the UAE, which is a very moving and exciting and unprecedented event. On the other hand, the Arabs are kind of neglecting the Palestinians, and so the Palestinians are becoming more radical. The Muslim Brotherhood, Qatar, Turkey, Hamas. On the other hand, it seems like we are getting further and further away from the option of the two-state solution. The general addressed that, and so I'm asking myself, if it's not a two-state solution, is it a one-state solution? And if it is a one-state solution, everyone's asking, can it be both Jewish and democratic? Or maybe it has to be either Jewish or democratic. So where do you see this going, the Palestinian issue, in light of the UAE agreement? Well, first of all, it is fascinating to hear such a senior official in the United States speaking about the Palestinians as something that is more than just a kind of addendum to economic relations and so on, the way that we would expect it from the Gulf states. The importance of the agreement with the UAE is huge. No one is denying that. But the fact that our immediate neighbors are the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, they're not going anywhere. I think he really has expressed the sentiment. And I think that between the lines, you could also see him wondering why there is a lack of context, a kind of linking the Palestinian conflict to what is happening. Because the Arabs are losing interest in the Palestinians, this has become somehow deflated. It is not as exaggerated as a problem as it was in the past. The fact that these things could have been put together, the fact that perhaps the solution or the resolution of the Palestinian conflict could have been intertwined into this agreement. And as for the question, he said at the end, he's asking, where is Israel going? We asked before, and we said it before, that if the Palestinians are going down, then we are connected to them, we are shackled to them, we will have to go down with them. Our relations with the Arab world are very important. Well, there is an Arab proverb that says you have to put your neighbor first. And certainly when you're talking about a neighbor with whom you've never been in war with. So I think it is very important to place an emphasis in the right places, as he has done. And certainly there are many questions about the American involvement in this process to find a resolution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict after the watershed event of the U.S. elections. The deal of the century, we may never know until the elections take place. But first, I would like to introduce you to our next guest in the very interesting conversation with a person who is perhaps the man of the week, maybe the man of the year, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, an American journal that is very influential, and he will be talking with us about the relationship between the U.S. and Israel. And Mr. Jeffrey Goldberg, if we just remind everyone, has had very interesting items about President Trump's statements, and that can have much impact on the American elections. We should listen to him carefully because Mr. Goldberg has a lot of insight on the U.S.-Israel relations. I think this is an interview that should really be listened to carefully. Yes, certainly one of the most influential journalists.